Hey, it's a little after 9 o'clock in the morning on July 20th. We're here at the Nevada County Airfest, just as I promised. Let me show you around. Here's the photography crew. I'm telling you, this is one of the most photogenic events you'll ever get to. They've just got the briefing. They got their long lenses. A lot of these are real professional photographers from all over the nation to take pictures of some of these great warbirds we're going to have out here today. Tim and I will be announcing up here in the announcer stand. We got opening ceremonies at 10, so I got a little bit of time to show you guys around some of the aircraft that have showed up here today. Let me see if I can get Tim to come over here and say hi real quick. Now, Tim is not only a photographer, but he's one of our main instigators and announcer today. So we're going to be announcing together all day long, starting about 10. Right? Yep. Good. So we're going to show the guys on the YouTube here some of the planes that showed up.
Right on.
Okay. All right. And the B-25 sales are going red hot today. So we'll start down here with the some of the classics and home builds. We got all the warbirds up here. We'll take a look at that. This will be just a quick view. Let me go ahead and flip this camera around here. A very rare Culver drone aircraft. Everybody knows the Culver Cadet aircraft, but this is a PQ-14 target drone. They got the orange color on this and a Franklin engine. And a very long wingspan. So this was a target drone used for target practice on the range. It was one of the very first remote controlled aircraft, RC aircraft, right around World War II era. Here's a very rare Polish M26 Airwolf. Cessna 195. A brand new Superstol. Mark Machado's just finishing this thing up, has not yet flown. Brand new Superstol with all the works. There's a Ryan Navion, Orion's S20. He's going to kind of give us a little Stol demo. There's the Mighty Luscombe right down there. A Porterfield, that's it. And there's Ray's Luscombe over there. Let's go up here and check. Look at the line for the pancake breakfast line is a hit.
There's Juan.
Say hi, Les.
Juan Browne, the one and only Juan Browne, right there.
Put the RZ350 out here on display. Got the N3N. He safely made it all the way from Oroville. Kristen Eagle biplane right behind there. Quickie Q200 Rutan design. Oh, they're pulling the drone out. Now, of course, this drone has got a pilot now. Look at the 50 cal on this Jeep here. Stay tuned, we'll see you here.
California is a beautiful place to live, but it also could be dangerous. CAL FIRE wants California to be safe for you and your family. The time to protect your home is now. By taking a few simple precautions, you will give firefighters a better chance to protect your home. Create a defensible space, a clear space of at least 100 feet around your home. Identify and maintain an adequate outside water source, and make sure you and your family plan and practice escape route before fire strikes. Be prepared. Be CAL FIRE prepared.
Hello?
Hello, Grandma?
Oh, Jason, is that you?
I was arrested and they won't let me leave because I don't have the bail money.
Jason, this doesn't sound like you.
It's me, Jason. Just wire $10,000.
You're not Jason. Always be cautious of financial scams. The person on the other end of the line might not be who you think they are, and never wire money.
Nevada County Airfest 2019. We got a Sea Fury arrival this morning, right out of the sun again. Sherman Smoot in the Sea Fury. Smoke is on. And this should be followed by Mike Browne in a P-51D. So we got two Sea Furies here this year. Look at that smoke. Beautiful. Now check out the smoke rings from the smoke generators. We'll talk more about this today. We'll do a live feed when he gets up and flying. That is induced drag. That is wingtip vortices from the induced drag, and yeah, with no wind, they make some odd patterns. Now let me zoom in on this closer here. You see why it's so dangerous to follow behind an aircraft too closely? Those wingtip vortices sit there and hang in the air and slowly settle, and you get caught up in that flying behind them, and it'll roll you right over. The slower and cleaner the aircraft, the heavier the wake turbulence is from the preceding aircraft. Boom, on the mains, pinned it, wheel landing. You can see a lot better doing that. It's got her slowed down, but oh, that's a racing Mustang too. Wow! Look at that. Good. Now look how well slowed down the Sea Fury is compared to the racing Mustang. Argonaut, another 3350 powered Sea Fury. Check out the polish. There's the smoke generators on the wingtips.
The two Sea Furies are at the end of the runway. Get those engine temperatures, cylinder head temperatures up into the green. Oil temperatures up in the green before they blast off. They'll be cycling the engines. Again, cycling the props, checking left and right magnetos before blasting off.
We've had a great turnout today here at the Airfest. It's just been perfect weather, perfect conditions, great flying all day long. It goes all the way down to the other end of the field down that way. There's a big beer fest and party going on down there. The B-25 can fly up to 6 or 7 passengers, and there's I got a whole video series on the B-25. I got the opportunity to fly in that B-25 last Sunday. Okay, here comes the B-25. The B-25 taking off at 100 miles an hour and climbing out in ground effect, very low to the ground, to achieve that safe 140 miles an hour for a single engine operation. Okay, I see the first Sea Fury. Which one is that, Tim?
That's Argonaut.
Argonaut looks like he's in the lead position. That's right, nothing like the sound of a round engine. Yes, very hard. Imagine that B-25 on a Doolittle raid taking off from the short deck of an aircraft carrier, pointed into the wind, fully loaded.
200 miles farther out than they originally intended.
The Hornet.
Here comes our first Sea Fury, Argonaut. The 3350 Radiant engine, originally a turbo compounded engine, the epitome of reciprocating engine design engineering for World War II before jet aircraft overtook the whole field. Incredibly complicated machines. Turbo compounding, where they had a supercharger and PRTs, power recovery turbines, all connected to eke out every last bit of horsepower out of those engines. Getting near anywhere from 2,000 to nearly 3,000 horsepower out of the 3,350 cubic inches.
While we're waiting for these Sea Furies, there's a rare, the world's only Culver drone flying aircraft, right there.
Sea Furies inbound from right to left. Two-ship formation.
Yep. Look, Joe. Aubrey.
So, stay over here.
So the Sea Furies that we're seeing flying today were kind of post-war aircraft. So these are the epitome of reciprocating engine, single-engine, piston-driven aircraft in their design configuration. Fighter, aircraft, and fighter-bomber type aircraft. Folding wings for carrier operations and tail hooks included. Just at the end of the recip age and the beginning of the jet age.
Now, look at these smoke generators.
You ever see smoke like that?
So this will be the classic slow flyby. This is what I'm talking about. The slower the aircraft, the heavier the wake turbulence.
Lauren, thank you.
So look at how violent the wake turbies are off of this thing.
Look at that.
Now look how violent that vortex is. The slower the aircraft is, the heavier, the more lift the wings are generating, the more powerful is the vortex. Which means when you're coming into land, that's a powerful, powerful force that you got to stay well behind.
Okay. Look at it, it's forming little smoke rings out there. Look at that. Of course, NASA used these smoke generators to produce quite a bit of data on wake turbulence separation and wake turbulence itself.
Here we go again, air show right.
Where are they, Tim? On down low and fast.
Low
All
and
right.
fast, profile pass.
Low and fast, here they come. Oh yeah, he's smoking.
What's this? Joseph, what?
Look, it's coming real fast.
Look at that climb. They're draining our tanks. There's 100 gallons right there. Boom, the first 100 gallons.
That's the fourth 100 gallons.
That's the fourth?
We did 100 gallons, and then we did 200 gallons, and we're on the second 200 gallons now.
So you're going for a total of about 400 gallons of gas.
4 or 5.
Good God. Let's see. 500 gallons at 470.
Yeah. Do the math.
Woohoo! Yeah.
That's why it costs $4.25 to go for a ride.
There you go. B25 is a thirsty bird at 120 gallons an hour. Well, Nevada County Airfest 2019 is in the bag. We had a record-breaking attendance numbers this year. The crew of Executive Suite here are absolutely ecstatic. They had a record number of rides sold yesterday here at the Airfest. 8 rides in one day, 6 or 7 passengers apiece. They just took on over 400 gallons of gas. And they just loved the care and attention that they got here at the Nevada County Airfest. And I want to thank you guys, the Blanco Lirio viewers. A lot of the riders were brought to the attention to come up and get the ride by watching these videos. So thanks so much for coming up and helping support Executive Suite and the Nevada County Airfest this year. And I also wanted to mention that all the proceeds of the profits of this entire event, the Nevada County Airfest, goes towards creating pilot scholarships for young pilots to get into aviation. So an individual scholarship can be as much as $5,000. Dozens and dozens of you guys came up and said hi during the Airfest, and that was really, really neat. It really made my day to actually say hi in person to many of the viewers of the Blanco Lirio channel. Let's do a quick cockpit familiarization video. I'll show you those functions that I know here in the B-25 cockpit, as things are designed quite a bit different back in World War II. First, it's a small cockpit, as you can see from the flying video. Maybe we'll start down here with a lot of hydraulics. We've got the hand pump here to pump up the hydraulics. It looks like a left-hand emergency brake, a right-hand emergency brake, so looks like you can get differential braking through the emergency system. This is right in between the 2 cockpit seats. Rudder trim, right and left rudder trim. And I'm not, aileron trim right there it says. This is landing gear lever. This is your main landing gear lever, not the emergency, but it looks like the main one. Wing flaps. Wing flaps do not have notches, so it's very critical for the first officer, the co-pilot, to operate these wing flaps, because the pilot has his hands full flying the aircraft, to operate them correctly, particularly in a go-around. You don't want to retract these flaps completely in the event of a go-around, or you'll sink too much. Here's your cowl flap controls, which operate the cowl flaps there on the engine for cooling. Open them up for takeoff and landing, and close them up for cruise flight generally. Moving up here, we got supercharger controls here. I assume they're locked out. I can't even read that. That might be carburetor heat right there. Here's an all-important throttle lock to keep the throttles from walking around on you while you're operating them. Of course, here's your throttle quadrant. So you got throttles, props, and mixture. All right, moving along here. Let me get a seat here. You got your standard kind of a T instrument cluster set up in this B-25 now, and you got duplicate instruments on left and right. So your artificial horizon, airspeed indicator, note the blue line right there, about 140 miles an hour, 160 miles an hour. Is that going to be, I'll have to ask the guys if that's your flap or gear speed. John's not here. And a VNE over 300 miles an hour. Turn bank coordinator, in-op ILS, vertical speed indicator, your rate of climb, a G meter down here, Okay, and these gauges are in op. It looks like your 3-gear down lights up here. A gear up on safe light. Nose gear, huh, interesting. Warning, nose gear turn beyond 15 degrees. You don't want to bang the stops on the nose gear. Okay, the all-important manifold pressure, which is controlled by your throttles. The RPM, which is controlled by the props. Constant speed propellers. And it looks like a 2100 to 2300 green line, or correction, 2100 to 2400 is the green line, and they're like, well, and then they'll bring it down into blue. They'll cruise around at 1700 RPM and about maybe 24 inches of manifold pressure. And if done right in the pattern, you can set that and forget that power setting and control the rest of your airspeed with configuration, with drag between the landing gear and the application of flaps, just chopping the throttles on final. Of course, here's your radio stack here in the middle. Brake pressure in the green, hydraulic pressure in the green. Bomb bay doors open. Cylinder head temperatures of the two engines. These are hot engines, they just landed, they're still in the green. That's why you see them after they land, they'll stabilize these temperatures upon landing before shutting down the engines by running the engines, maybe 1,000 RPM or so before shutting them down for a minute or so. A repeat of the flying instruments here. All important oil temperature located right here. Carburetor air temperature right here. Fuel pressure right here, left and right. There's 2 needles in these gauges. Same with the oil pressure, left and right. So you can compare the needles between the engines, and it catches your attention right away when they're not lined up. Fuel tanks, front tanks, fuel tanks, rear tanks, quantity indicators. In-op aux tank over here, gauge. Placarding, maximum airspeed with landing gear flaps extended to 170 miles an hour. So that's the yellow line, 150, 160, 170 miles an hour. Don't operate the de-icers. Well, they don't have de-icers anymore. Got to operate your aircraft within the limitations at all times. Well, everybody knows that. All right, now it gets a little more complicated. Here on the center panel, we got feather control buttons here, left and right engine to feather the prop to get them streamlined into the wind in the event of an engine failure. Magneto switches, left, right, and master. Fuel transfer. Fire detection system, fuel boost pumps, emergency off and normal, primer, left and right, engine starter, left and right. Mesh and energize. So this is where they're bump starting the engines. These are inertia starters. So you need to wind up the starters before you engage them by engaging the mesh. When you're bumping the engines, that is just clearing them of oil to prevent hydraulic lock, you mesh the starter first and then gently bump the engine over by intermittently hitting the starter energizer circuit. These engines are pre-oiled using electric pump pre-oilers, which are switched here for the right and here for the left. Before you start the engines, you pre-oil them, get oil pressure up to the engine, and you look for a few PSI of oil pressure right here. And then you go through the engine bump procedure for the first start of the day. These are the engine fire switches here and there. Left one there, right one here. Red guarded switch for a fire extinguisher. Of course, here's your elevator trim located here. Authentic, genuine North American Aviation rudder pedals with the brakes. The brakes are on top of the rudder pedals right there. Parking brake is set. We have left generator, right generator, failure lights, and disconnect switches. A voltmeter, and here you've got some gauges to troubleshoot your electrical system, voltmeter, And left amp meter, right amp meter, load meter. Basically an amp meter. There's AC volts over here. They got an inverter. I wonder what they're using AC for. We'll have to ask the crew. And bomb bay doors open and close. Up here you typically have a push-to-talk switch. And you would also be able to actuate, I would assume, bomb bay doors from up here as well. Or bombs themselves, if you had them. Whiskey compass, emergency hatch overhead. Some curtains. Here's your emergency hatch actuation. Get it up and out of there. What do we got back here? Prop anti-icing, windshield anti-icing, windshield wiper, floodlights, some old radio gear, and an oxygen bottle, paperwork case, 2 jump seats in the back there. There's your hydraulic reservoir, main hydraulic reservoir. And there's some more controls down there for the hydraulic system. And there's the foldable steps that fold out and allow you access up into the turret overhead. All right, any questions on the brief? Brief's complete. Let's go flying.
Was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Yeah!
Hey Juan, you're gonna have to take.
Perfect!
You're gonna have to take over. I got tears in my eyes. I am choked up.
That just watered my eyes, Sue. Fantastic.
Beautiful.
What timing.
And oh boy, that B-25. Could
Oh.
not have planned that. Welcome to the Grass Valley Air Show and Brewfest, and what a welcome that was. Thank you, Sue, so much.
That was perfect. That's some catch, that catch 22.